Helena is a form of Helen, of Greek origin, meaning light or shining bright in fitting with the light's motif in Eyes Wide Shut, and like Fidele's protagonist Leonore, from French meaning shining light. The name Helena is most famously from the character Helen of Troy in Greek mythology. Considered the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen of Troy is said to have launched 1,000 ships as men started wars for her affections. As the story goes, Helen was a queen who left her monarch husband for a Trojan man named Paris. Some accounts describe it as an elopement, as Helen being equally in love with Paris as he was with her, while other versions describe it as an abduction wherein Paris took Helen against her will. Some etymologists link Helen of Troy to sun goddess legends, and the story of her elopement or abduction by Paris as relating to marriage from the myths of ancient Indo-European cultures. The old Greek spelling of her name has a V to possibly represent Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, desire, sex, seduction, fertility, suggesting Helen and Venus share common mythological origins, and they both represent aspects of femininity. This connects again to the 8-pointed star of Venus that appears as Christmas decoration in Eyes Wide Shut, and the painting of goddess Astarte, the Semitic equivalent to Venus. Venus is very much involved in Helen of Troy's story. She granted Paris the love of the most beautiful woman on earth, Helen, if he would proclaim that she, Venus, was the most beautiful goddess in all the universe. Paris did so and then ran off with Helen, which started the Trojan War. Duality is displayed again in this story of Helen and Venus, a human woman and a goddess, one the most beautiful on earth, the other the most beautiful in the heavens. Themes of twinning and pairing prominent in Eyes Wide Shut are reflected throughout many tales of twinship in Greek mythology. Helen had a twin sister Clytemnestra, and they had another pair of half-brother twins named Gemini. So, Helen of Troy is a pair of pairs, linking to the duality embodied through the character Helena Harford. She has double H initials, her father is played by an actor whose name means twin, and there's another character named Ilona. The Hungarian version of Helena, the same name, Helen of Troy, relates to another Greek myth, the tale of Cupid and Psyche, which many modern fairy tales are rooted in. It's been portrayed in various media, from poetry to paintings to popular culture, with Cupid imagery on everything from wallpaper to greeting cards. Cupid is commonly depicted today as a winged cherub equipped with a bow and arrows. Anyone struck by his arrow will fall in love. In the movie, a statue of Cupid and Psyche can be seen at the bottom of the staircase in Ziegler's house. A Cupid card hangs in Domino's apartment, another Cupid card is visible in Bill's office, and Helena Harford wears a winged fairy costume at the film's opening. Cupid, meaning desire, was the Roman god of love, desire, and eroticism. His Greek counterpart is Eros, which is also a word on a sign behind Bill outside the costume store, and the origin of erotic. Cupid was the son of Venus, Aphrodite in Greek, goddess of love, passion, sex, and Mars, or Ars, god of war. An analogy, perhaps, for the extremes of human behavior, love and war, creation and destruction. Psyche is from the Greek for life or breath, with derivative meanings soul, spirit, and self. In psychology, the psyche is the totality of the human mind, conscious and unconscious. Psyche was a princess of stunning beauty, herself said to be the second coming of Venus. She became Cupid's wife and mother of their daughter Hedone, meaning pleasure, in Greek also known as Voluptas, which is pleasure in Latin, who was herself the goddess of sensual pleasure. The English word hedonism is derived from hedone and voluptuous from voluptes. The themes of the tale of Cupid and Psyche center on love, lust, sex, and death. Written in the 2nd century by Platonist philosopher Lucius Apuleius, the tale of Cupid and Psyche is an episode in his most famous work Metamorphoses. The protagonist and narrator is named Lucius, establishing the story's framework through the eyes of a fictional version of the writer Lucius Apuleius himself, which is a little like Bill played by Cruz, an actor playing a character that mocks his real-life image. Most remarkably, just as the mansion scene occurs in the exact middle of the film, the tale of Cupid and Psyche occurs in the midpoint of the novel Metamorphoses. As a structural mirror of the overarching plot, it's an example of mise en abîme, a complex narrative frame of a story within a story, like the movie, and its mirror structure endlessly reflecting aspects of itself. The Cupid and Psyche story alludes to mystery religions, which were a kind of early cult involving initiates called mystei, or mystics. At the end of Metamorphoses, the character Lucius finds salvation by joining the mystery cult of Isis. Lucius Apuleius was himself an initiate of several cults and mystery religions, and was once accused of using magic to seduce a wealthy widow. Mystery has origins in the French mystère, or secret, hidden meaning, and in a theological sense, hidden spiritual significance, religious truth, Latin mysterium, or secret rite, secret worship, and Greek mysterion, or secret doctrine, secret ceremony. In etymological relation, mystic comes from the Greek to shut the eyes and mouth in secrecy, to be initiated into the mystery revelation. It all sounds similar to what Bill experiences at the secret mansion party. Before going there, he asks Nick, "What's the big mystery?" In this context of the ancient initiatory rites of the pagan mysteries, Eyes Wide Shut is about mysteries, and the movie itself might qualify as an anti-mystery because nothing is answered with certainty. Dated about 150 years before Apuleius, Metamorphoses is another classic Latin literary work also entitled Metamorphoses by Roman poet Ovid. Considered his masterwork, it's an epic narrative poem of 250 myths. At Ziegler's party, Sandra Severus attempts to seduce Alice by citing Ovid's The Art of Love. When she tells him she's married, he replies that in ancient times women got married because it was the only way to be free to sleep with other men. Really? I thought legal marriage evolved as a property contract for men to secure their wealth, succession, and lineage by having women bear them offspring. The word woman in fact comes from the Old English with man from wife of man. Two ancient books connected to Eyes Wide Shut, a movie with mirroring and duality themes, have identical titles, Metamorphoses and Metamorphoses. Coincidentally, the famous story The Metamorphosis was written by Franz Kafka, whose work Kubrick adored. A contemporary of Arthur Schnitzler, Sigmund Freud, and Carl Jung Kafka, born 1883, shares a birthday with Tom Cruise, July 3rd. Bill undergoes a metamorphosis of sorts, doesn't he? Helena plays with the baby buggy and the toyish hope, and a baby stroller is visible on the landing of Domino's building, seemingly abandoned in the corner outside of her apartment, which links Helena and Domino. Also in the toy store, tiger stuffies fill a shelf behind Alice, of the same sort as one seen on Domino's bed, linking the two of them. This all invokes the possibility that not only is Domino some kind of alternate version of Bill's wife Alice, but also of his daughter Helena. The same characters transposed in alternate, imagined timelines. And Domino's roommate Sally resembles what Helena might look like in 20 years or so, with their freckles and red hair. Is this perhaps part of Bill's sexual hesitancy with Domino and Sally? Maybe they represent a future Helena, a possible fate that Bill has been complicit in by his unconscious contribution to capitalism and misogyny. Milik prostituting his young daughter is another version, and Ziegler's wife is named Ilona, an alternate Helena. Domino is a prostitute, and Ilona is the wife of a super-rich guy who routinely has sex with prostitutes. And Helena is the daughter of Bill, a somewhat rich guy who thinks he wants to have sex with prostitutes, but doesn't. In further connection to Helen and Helena, and to Marie and Marion. Marie-Hélène de Rothschild was a wealthy socialite and member of the Rothschild family who died in 1996 around the time the film was in early stages of production. Her paternal grandmother was Baroness Helene de Rothschild. The most notable Rothschild reference in the movie is that the United Kingdom's Mentmore Towers, which serves as the Somerton Mansion, was built in the 1850s by the son of Nathan Rothschild. Bill's patient is Nathanson. The Rothschilds' extravagant parties have been documented, including a masquerade ball that Marie-Hélène held at another Rothschild mansion called Chateau d'Affy-Rière in France. It was built just after Mentmore for another family member. Baron James de Rothschild, who, upon seeing his cousin's impressive mansion, told the architect, "Build me a mentor, but twice the size." Marie-Hélène took over the mansion in 1959, refurbished it, and it soon became the epicenter for European high society, with visitors including everyone from royalty to Hollywood celebrities. Marie-Helene's party was called the Surrealist Ball, and while it wasn't a massive sex orgy, at least not as popularly reported, it does have numerous eerie parallels to the films too similar to be ignored. It was held on December 12, 1972, the Christmas season. The invitations are printed backwards, only legible if held up to a mirror. Backwards text and inversion of traditional symbols are common occult practices. When Bill enters the mansion, the music composition heard is backwards priests, a Romanian Orthodox liturgy played in reverse. Marie-Helene's party guests were required to attend in costumes and masked with a surrealist theme. One of the movie's party attendees wears a cubist mask. The ball also had food served on the body of a life-size mannequin lying down, perhaps inspired by the nude mannequin tables in Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange, which had come out a year earlier. Among the notable celebrities in attendance were surrealist artist Salvador Dali, movie star Audrey Hepburn, and model-turned-actress Marissa Berenson, who a few years later starred in Kubrick's Barry Lyndon in 1975, another movie about wealthy elites. In a 1974 New York Times interview, Berenson said, "I was once one of the highest paid models in the world." The attendance at the ball resonates as an ominous foreshadowing of Eyes Wide Shut. By 1972, Kubrick had acquired the rights to Traum Novel and was already researching for it, so perhaps he talked to Berenson about Marie-Helene's ball. At that time, Kubrick was among the world's most famous filmmakers, so maybe he would even attended such similar parties. Another peripheral link to the name Helen is that actress Helen Mirin starred in 2010, The Year We Make Contact, in 1984, the sequel to 2001. Her character is Tonya Kirbook, an obvious homage to Stanley Kubrick as an oral anagram and near-exact reversal in spelling of his surname. 2010 was adapted by writer-director Peter Hyams from 2001 author Arthur C. Clarke's 1982 sequel novel. Kubrick wasn't involved, but Hyams got his and Clarke's blessing to make the film. In addition to the Mirin character's name, which is different in Clarke's book, Hyams pays tribute to 2001 by featuring Clarke in a cameo sitting on a park bench, and a fake Time magazine about US-Soviet tensions appears in the film with a cover picture of Clarke as the US president and Kubrick as the Soviet premier. Helen Mirin was born on July 26 in 1945. The same birthday as Stanley Kubrick in 1928, which is the same birthday as Leon Vitali as Red Cloak in 1948, and also the same birthday as Peter Hyams in 1943. Eyes Wide Shut Mr. Milik is played by Raj Shabegia, whose birthday is July 27th in 1946, one day after Kubrick et al. These birthday coincidences are another example of the seemingly infinite expanse of the Eyes Wide Shut multiverse. The Helene part of Marie-Hélène relates to Helen of Harford, Ilona, Helen of Troy, Helen Mirin, the Rothschild family, Mentmortars, the Surrealist Ball, Marissa Berenson, Barry Lyndon, and the Marie part of Marie-Hélène relates to Mary Richardson as Marianne, Tom Cruise's sister's name Marianne, his mother's name Mary, Nicole Kidman's middle name Mary, the Yale punks taunting Merry Christmas, Mary, and actress Mariana Hewitt as the housekeeper Rosa, which connects to the babysitter Roz, which means Rose, which all connect to the name Rosemary through the Rosa Morris baby carriage appearance. Such cross-connections between names and associated sub-stories further exemplify the scope of Kubrick's artistic vision